This is the algorithm. Times table.
To earn respect.
Memorize your times table.
To earn respect.
Prescription. Dr. H.
We breathe in life and light in patterns of 12. The alveoli open and close 12 times a minute. 12 times an hour, the Botzinger complex creates a sigh. The Botzinger complex is also the actual human beatbox. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. The total work week, or 5 days, equals 120 hours. Your 12 pints of red blood cells live 120 days. Impulses travel neurons at 120 meters a second. There is 120,000 miles of lymph vessels. Blood sugar levels top at 120, the rough equivalent of a 6A1C. Electrons per atom also top at 120. Red blood cells spin, creating a vortex through the 12 gates of the heart into the Y septum. Make note that the heart is 12 centimeters or 12 royal fingers in length itself, pumping 12 pints of blood. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. Spend time paying attention, balancing your interests to earn respect. So you'll never have. The 12 pints of red blood cells then make the 60,000-mile journey every 60 seconds, only possible by the structuring of water. Eerily similar to the 60-mile-high electric field around Earth when charged. The 60 mitochondria DNA codons powering the little FO wall clocks. F equals 6, F0 is another 60, setting the frequency, the brain, max speed of awareness to information, processing speed is 60 bits per second. That 60 is divine mathematics from the almanac. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. Spend time paying attention, balancing your interests to earn respect, so you'll never have to save face. Cells have their own carbon-12 cycle. Much like the algae of the planet recycle carbon into pigments, we recycle carbon-12 to make nucleotides. This is called the tricarboxylic acid cycle. A major portion of the tricarboxylic acid cycle is B12, the major purpose of which is to feed the mitochondria so they can recycle our ATP. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. The mitochondria have an assembly line called the electron transport chain. These mitochondria cannot function without melanocytes, melanosomes, and of course melanin. This assembly line recycles phosphorus so our cells can produce light to earn respect. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. The electron transport chain has 5 sections or 5 cytochromes: cyto, cell, chrome, color or pigment. Cytochrome is the cellular pigments. The 5th is the ATPase pump or turbine. The base of this unit or FO motor, the counterclockwise clepsydra, has 9 to 12 components that cycle protons to power the pump. Each ATP must be utilized with magnesium. Magnesium is atom number 12 on the periodic table. The 12-unit FO water clock creates the 12 kBT energy that must bind to the 12th atom on the periodic table. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. 7.3 kcals per mole divided by 0.60 equals 12. The ATP has an average value of 12 kBT in available energy. A mole, based on the historical definition of the mole, as the amount of substance that corresponds to the number of atoms in 12 grams of carbon-12. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. The DRENQI cycle sits at the center of motion in the cytoplasm. Structure in water molecules creates pools of free electrons, coherent domains. Melanin harnesses these free electrons and feeds them to NAD. NAD in turn feeds the cell. That is the DRENQI cycle. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. Spend time paying attention, balancing your interests to earn respect, so you'll never have to save face.
158. Y'all with me?
Spend time paying attention, balancing your interests.
Paying attention.
Spend time paying attention, balancing your interests to earn respect.
Paying attention. Balance.
ATP is produced by breaking down glucose or chains of carbon-12. We then cycle the carbon-12 back to the environment for the algae and plants. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. 36 to 38 ATP are produced from each glucose molecule. Without mitochondria, our cells can only squeeze 2 ATP per glucose molecule. Each glucose molecule is a chain of carbon-12. A sodium-potassium pump uses 1 ATP during each cycle. 12 times per second, these pumps go through a cycle, exporting 3 sodium ions and importing 2 potassium ions. As above, so below. The cell membrane and the mitochondria membrane. This is the sublime mathematics of diabetic arithmetic. Creating that 12-part motif is the mysterious magic of the energy system. Even each unit of insulin metabolizes 12 grams of carbohydrates, reducing the blood sugar level by 45 milligrams per deciliter.
My name is Minister DRENQI. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. We in here. We in here. All right, so we kind of got a little we got a little distracted yesterday, right? We got a little distracted yesterday. I sound good. My mic sound nice. Check 1. All right, so here's where we are. I'm still disheveled. I'm still a little all over the place, right? I'm getting my life together though. We still working on. We still in our black bag. Okay. We still in our black bag. Right? We still in our black bag. And we have went from autism. Right? We've gone from the autism book. Now, mind you, I know y'all saying, Inky, we need to spend more time on all these books. I got you. I got to spend more time on everything. My mind has not been together lately. So please send the Cash App to $Minister Inky. Go to the website, AmericanHealer.website. Go to Amazon, get the books. Go to Patreon, sign up. Right? Calamity after calamity after calamity. My back end partner that was handling stuff on the backside, she quit. And then shortly after, just been one thing after another, right? So, but don't think we're not working. Don't think we're not working, right? So we went from the autism book, which we kind of discussed, right? We went from the autism book to the End of Heart Disease book. That looks crazy. I just put HD. The End Heart Disease book. Let me show y'all this book. Let's pull up this book. Let's take a look at it, right? If we don't see it, it's not real. So let's go ahead and take a look at this book. Right? Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Man, this one book that's coming up higher than my... Oh, let's do it. Yo, God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. Look at that. I really appreciate y'all. Whoever's supporting this book, whoever been going to look this book up and search this book, right? I really appreciate all the energy and the love. Man, this was a hell of a book. Yeah, see right here, I dedicated to my brother. May he rest in peace. Right? Man, that's epic right there. Let's look at it though. What? Yo, we right there. That's crazy. Man, I definitely appreciate that. Now look at that. We definitely ain't over here. Yeah, we ain't over here. We need to get over here though. I would like to get us over here. This would be good if we can get over here. It's the holiday time. Folks supposed to be Christmas shopping. Right? But hey, listen, it's a start. It's a start. We right here. So that means we getting searches. People was probably wondering where I was at, searching to see if I put out a book. Of course I put out a book. Right? Of course we got it. Of course we still alive. We still working. Of course we still on the grind. Right? That is super gangster right there. We are 85 overall in heart disease books, 202 overall in alcoholism recovery, and 247 in substance abuse recovery. Right? At least we break in the top 100. right? We in the top 100,000 for overall books, which I guess is not that bad considering Amazon has, how many books are on Amazon? How many total books are on Amazon? 32 million books are on Amazon. Wow. 32 million books. So, yeah. $32 million books are on Amazon. And we in the top 100,000. So we all right. We're not all right. We can be better. We up there though. Right? Where's everybody? Like Inky, we're not even used to the rhythm. We wasn't even expecting you to be online yesterday. We had a few people watching yesterday. We had a few people watching yesterday, right? Right, well, we got to get to work regardless. We still got to get to work regardless. So I want to talk a little bit more about this book. I want to get into this book. You know what? Maybe I should change the title to this video slightly. Let me see if they've been tripping a little bit. I think what happened yesterday was, since I hadn't went live in a little while, they probably forgot to stop suppressing my channel. Yeah, they probably took me off of the ban. You know, I probably slipped from under the radar for a hot second, right? But I think that worked. So there's a lot of things in this book, right? A lot of things are in the book, but there's some new information. There's some new information, and I'm not going to say super new, but I'm going to say it's been working its way. It's been working its way around, right? And so already it's getting crazy. Now, that information has to do with cholesterol. That information has to do with cholesterol, right? And cholesterol's impact on heart disease, right? This is becoming the new spicy area of conversation, right? The new spicy area. Cold. Coal ester oil, right? Cholesterol, right? Coal ester oil. right? This is like my whole little, it's my little mnemonic device for the starter stuff. The starter stuff, right? And so that's the thing that I want to probably just open up the conversation with, right? I want to open up the conversation with this because over the years, I think that even with the best intention, we've all contributed to this confusion in one way, shape, form, or fashion, especially with the conversation around. Now, here's the thing. Try and be as responsible as possible with this message, right? I want to be as responsible as possible. So let's just do this. Right? So here's the exact confusion. Come on. I already know you ahead of the learning curve because you everywhere. Thanos is everywhere. Thanos is everywhere. Right? So here's the thing though, right? I'm gonna need y'all to have some patience with me over the next. I don't know how long this thing is gonna take to get out of my system, right? My brother passing has impacted me in a way that I can't put into words, right? So there's going to be, along with our conversations, there's going to be, especially with all of the alien talk and what they've been trying to do with the children's schools here in America, especially like the public schools and there's going to be a lot more of that kind of conversation. Typically, what I've done over the years is I've held my tongue on a lot of different things. And, just realizing how, and I know it better than anybody, but nothing quickens the memory on how short life is like a death. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the things that you really got to get comfortable with. Unfortunately, it doesn't get easier, but you got to get comfortable with it, because if you're on the health journey, along with being on the personal health journey, is you have to watch people die. So it's always, you're going to have uncomfortable spaces. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have uncomfortable spaces. My best friend that was younger than me, you know what I'm saying? My little brother, younger than me, like you're going to have these spaces where you're going to keep on living. Yeah, you're going to keep on living as people drop off. You know what I'm saying? But so you gotta excuse me a little bit, work with me, have some patience with your brother, because it's crazy out here, and some of these things have to be discussed, right? Saying all that to say, in response to Thanos, right? When something is grossly misstated, grossly understated, grossly overstated, right? There's something that we're supposed to be looking at over there. Like if if we're being pointed in this direction or that direction, there's something probably over here just beneath that, to the left of that, to the right. There's something that we're probably missing, right? There's something that we're probably missing that we should be paying attention to, right? So while the medical establishment, and of course we have a book for that. Like we have a book for everything, right? Where that book is right now is a great question. I have no idea where the book is. That's interesting. But y'all should be well aware of the book. It is our photochemistry book, right? Our photochemistry. I do want to pull it up though. Do we still have Amazon up? Okay. Let's go photochemistry. Yeah, see, I understand. I'm learning a little bit about this Amazon thing though. Now they want you to pay to get in the top searches, right? Okay. So we have this book, right? DRENQI's Law of Metabolism, right? DRENQI's Law of Metabolism, Photochemistry Squared book, right? In this book, we start the conversation. In this book, we start the conversation, right? And the conversation is surrounding, now in that book, obviously from the title, we go heavily into, like reaction for reaction, like each chemical reaction we're going through for certain sets, right? Cholesterol, how it becomes vitamin D, and fat metabolism and energy production. Like we're going through the biochemistry of a lot of different stuff. And the purpose of me doing that is because this conversation has been heating up, right? This conversation has been heating up because they're prescribing more and more and more statins, right? More and more statin drugs are being prescribed. But heart disease is continuing to go up, right? Heart disease is continuing to go up. And here's where the problem comes in. Let me tell you who the real whistleblower is. The real whistleblower was another book we did, the orthorexia book. In the orthorexia book, we start having this conversation. And I told y'all, as always, I try to keep y'all way ahead the learning curve, right? We start having this conversation. In fact, we start having this conversation in the kitchen chemistry book, right? Somewhere around the kitchen chemistry book, we start having this conversation. Okay. If you're just tuning in and this is your first time watching or whatever, Micro Lives is basically the calculation for how everything impacts your life. There's an actual science now of this, meaning within reason, they can calculate when you eat a cheeseburger, when you have a kale salad, when you light up your cigarette, when you binge watch Netflix, when you go for a run. they can literally calculate exactly how that'll impact your life in terms of time, right? In terms of time, right? So we're still in our bag. We still in our pocket, right? We still in our bag. Don't get it twisted, right? Heavy is the head. We still gotta work, right? This right here is the whistleblower. And it's not just the whistleblower for cholesterol. It's not just the whistleblower for a prescription drug or this or that. It's the whistleblower pretty much for everything, right? Because now you can see, okay, if I have this chicken breast, like, what is this? Is this adding time onto the clock? Is it adding time onto the clock, or is it minusing time off the clock? And if it's adding time onto the clock, how long is it adding onto the clock? Right? How long is it adding onto the clock? And so the big problem with this is that Lipitor, which is, I guess, the best-selling statin drug, right? It's the king of the statin drugs. Well, they ran some micro life tests, and they find out that cholesterol is only going to extend your life like 3 to 5 days. And that's over the course of like 5 years, 10 years. Listen to what I'm saying. They find out that the medication is only going to extend your life an extra 3 to 5 days total, right? So with that finding, that's in scientific journals, it's been clinically proven, like that's that. Here's the thing. When something is proven, right, especially in regards to your health, and this is one way or another, this is for better or for worse, right? Now you have the interpretation game. Now you have the monetization game. You have the facts. You have the data. Now it's, how are the big companies, how are the private doctors, the private, chiropractors, naturopaths, like how is everybody going to take that information and present it to the public? And when you present it to the public, what's your angle? Do you even have an angle? What are you trying to do with this information, right? Are you just presenting it to the people? Are you positioning it with another alternative drug or healing package or something you're selling with it? Like, what are you presenting it with? So that's led to the airwaves over the last 12 months getting more clogged and clogged and clogged, pun intended, right? It's getting more clogged, pun intended, because this new information has come out. And make no mistake, heart disease is the #1 killer all the way around. Heart disease is the #1, 2, and 3 key. Remember that KRS song? When KRS was going against Nelly, I don't know how Nelly found himself. I don't know how Nelly found himself in this situation, but Nelly was going back and forth with KRS. And KRS once said, when I said I was #1, no, he said, saying I'm #1. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. I'm #1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like, that was crazy right there. That was like one of the craziest battle bars. Like, at the time, he said that was crazy, right? Nelly, he had to get out of there. I'm going down, down, baby. He wasn't ready for that. My point though is heart disease is like in that space, heart disease is KRS-One. Heart disease is number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of top killers. You have heart disease, brain disease, and pulmonary disease. Yeah, lung disease is quietly, lung disease done quietly came out of nowhere. And now lung disease, over the last couple of years, lung disease been number 2, knocking brain disease out, or it's been number 3. Like lung disease and brain disease been battling back and forth for the number 2 and 3 slots, right? But the thing is, all three of those are a part of heart disease, right? All three of those are a part of heart disease. Heart disease, the cardiovascular system is the central nucleus to all three of those issues, right? So if we figure out the heart disease, if we figure out the heart disease, obviously we kick heart diseases, we kick heart disease in the backside, right? I'm working on like curse replacement therapy. So it's not fast yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm so used to saying so many cuss words that, I have to stop and pause and catch myself and find another phrase, or, I'm working on me, right? But so kicking heart disease in the backside, also you get to kick lung disease in the backside and brain disease in the backside. Now, with heart disease being the number 1 killer, right, as well as the cardiovascular system being the number 1 contributor to brain disease and lung disease, right? Like, Doc, I thought you said diabetes. Of course, diabetes, but that's what diabetes does. Diabetes pollutes the cardiovascular system. So don't think for a second that we moved away from diabetes, right? But just know that that's what diabetes contributes to your body, right? Pollution of the cardiovascular system, right? That's what they're checking, A1C level, right? The A1C level that they're checking is to check glycation, how much of the sugars are sticking to your blood cells, right? And that is a lot nastier work than people think. Glycation. That's why I tried to write a whole book on it. And I honestly would have thought people would have been hanging signs on bus stops and putting them on blimps, flying it through the air, right? I thought people would have been going crazy in this book, right? In this book right here, we break down all of the chemistry associated with glycation, right? It's important because it affects everything else, right? It's not just a matter of like how people simplified it down and say, well, when your red blood cells get as the sugars cake up on the red blood cells, they can carry less nutrients, less oxygen, and obviously carry back, less. They just can't carry as much stuff, right? They just can't carry as much stuff. Just simplify it down, right? But that to call that an oversimplification would be a understatement, right? Because it's not just that. Your body can't really even break down and recycle the blood cells. That glue, because that's what it really turns into. It's like a glue, and it starts to get into all of the, into the liver. It starts to get into the kidney and the spleen, and that's how we get into the kidney disease.
That's how the spleen slows down. Nobody discusses the spleen. The spleen is another one of those things that by the time you find out your spleen is not working, they just giving you a countdown like, yo, so yeah, you want to make things right with your kids. You got a couple of weeks because it's going to be quiet. And you might mess around and get diagnosed with like an autoimmune disease or something crazy. And it's because your spleen done started to shut down, or maybe it's already shutting down. And so now you don't have the white blood cell activity. And because you don't have the white blood cell activity, all hell can break loose, pun intended, right? So don't think if we're not mentioning diabetes that we're not like that diabetes is somehow off the no, diabetes is, as soon as we talk about heart disease or cardiovascular disease, just know diabetes is the central monster, the central boogeyman, right? It's like drinking Elmer's glue or drinking Gorilla Glue, right? So there's that, right? There's that. But in the photochemistry book, we took it to another level. And yeah, I'm still looking around to see if I see the book around here somewhere, right? We took it to another level because there's this. And this is the most important thing, right? This is the most important thing. But this has been kind of hidden and covered up, right? The reason why is because it opens up so much more business. You got to understand, at the end of the day, capitalism in its pure essence is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I'm a fan of capitalism, right? But there are, capitalism can get really nasty. Capitalism can get nasty, right? And it's not the thing, it's the people operating the thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing with capitalism. It's not the vehicle, right? Because I fell in love with capitalism as a kid, right? Just being able to get out, hustle, and that was one part. But when I got to high school, right? I had a daughter now. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm not trying to mess around, trying to get my life together. So I go downtown and I get a job, right? I go downtown and get a job. Now, mind you, you're a kid, you can't really get but so many different types of jobs. So in New York, though, at the time, they had a lot of messenger jobs available. You go down in Midtown Manhattan, and you can, because a lot of stuff now is, I don't even know if the industry still exists, running messenger stuff around, or at least if it does today, it's not the way it was back then. Everything in Midtown ran on messengers, right? There was no DoorDashes, there was no Uber Eats, none of that existed. There was no social media, so there's no shoot you a DM. Like, there's none of that. There's no shoot you a Cash App. None of that exists, right? So if you want to send a few dollars to your wife who's working in 10 blocks over for lunch, like, all of that got to go by messenger. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, when I get down there to the messenger thing, I didn't know immediately that I had options, right? But I got hired on the hourly. And so when I first started working, and the company you keep is important, right? But I first started working, I was hanging out with the wrong people my first couple days. And so the idea that they had was to basically like, yo, we on the clock, right? So get you a package and just walk that bad boy down. You know what I'm saying? Put your headphones on, go stop and get you, a juice or pizza or something somewhere, maybe stop, play some video game, like, just relax. You know what I'm saying? 2-3 deliveries, that should be your whole shift. You know what I'm saying? You get your little $20-$30 a day. And that's that.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the week, you working part-time, get you a little $120, $150. You know, they were satisfied with that. I wasn't. I was like, yo, this is crazy, bro. And I'm seeing other folks and they making way more money. Like, yo, what are y'all doing? So these guys had bikes. They was hustling. Woo. So long story short, I learned that I wanted to work on commission. I like the commission structure better. The harder you work, the more money you make, right? I didn't like the hourly where, you know, you're guaranteed to make this amount, because being guaranteed something makes you lazy, right? It doesn't bring out the best in you. It brings out the worst in you, right? So anyway, that's that, right? So capitalism, you know, you can extrapolate that kind of example, but there are, you know, people that take shortcuts and people that are nearsighted and focused on whatever they focused on. They might be in the wrong industry, right? So why I'm saying that when it comes to cholesterol is the way statin drugs were designed, right? They stop your body from producing cholesterol. That's the trick that they came up with, stopping the body from making cholesterol. People can't really know this. I've spent the better part of 2 decades trying to tell people, if you got high blood pressure medication, you taking statins, you're going to have to go out of your way to get your vitamin D levels, to get your estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, you know, testosterone, like all of those things, because all of those things is based on you. Your body converts cholesterol into those things, right? And those are the things that you're going to see and the things that you're going to feel, right? You'll feel as a man, right? You'll feel as a man when you're not producing testosterone. Your brain won't be focused on goals. Your brain will be like, you'll be whiny. You know what I'm saying? You'll be whiny. You'll be in a sucker type of mode. You know what I'm saying? You won't have that ambition and drive to get things done, whether that's a set of push-ups or knocking out a book or getting to work on time or picking up your kids on time from wherever, or whatever it is you got going on. Like you just, you lackluster, right? Women, you know, similar issues on the opposite side with your hormone imbalance, right? Vitamin D, obviously you're going to feel immediate immune issues, right? People start getting infections through the roof, old infections, recurrent infections coming back. And, you know, calcium metabolism, iron metabolism, things that depend on vitamin D. And then because you're not getting the education, instead of you figuring out you got a vitamin D problem, you'll go and get more calcium. They're like, oh, your bones, you know, you need more calcium. No, I'm getting enough calcium. This is why everybody in America is calcium deficient, but they're consuming mad calcium. It's because of the vitamin D and the cholesterol, right? Vitamin D is how your body moves the calcium from circulation into the tissues and the bones, right? And so in the bones, you have it there for integrity, right? Because your bones are piezoelectric. So you need the calcium to produce electric current every time there's pressure in the bones anywhere, right? But then also you need calcium to maintain electric gradients of all of your cell types, all of them. And then obviously iron, magnetism, right? You need iron everywhere, right? You'll feel the iron because your electron transport chain is iron sulfur clusters, right? So you're not going to be able to recycle the ATP. You might go from being able to do 50 push-ups till you get down there, you do 6 push-ups, your chest feel like it's going to explode, right? That's because you can't produce the energy, right? And even worse than that, your respiration and your ability to metabolize sugar it's going to be on 2 different speeds, 2 different frequencies, right? So, but the capitalism part of it is it's a beautiful, very successful drug. So here's the thing. Let me say this. You have to understand perspective. You got to be able to put things in the first person, right? You got to be able to see things from the other perspectives, right? So if I'm a pharmaceutical company and I say that a drug has been really successful and it's amazing, right? And then, because see, listen, we still in the same pocket we was in yesterday. I don't know if y'all seen yesterday's video, but we're talking about how delusional people are, right? People are delusional. So if I'm a pharmaceutical company and I say, look at this drug, it's been really successful, right? And then my next statement is the most important, because after I say, look at this drug, it's been amazingly successful, right? I point you to a statistic. That statistic is supposed to tell anybody with ears that hear and eyes that see, right? Exactly what I mean as really successful. Now, if you're delusional, you think when I say the drug has been really successful, you think that I mean that we done healed a lot of people. That's where you're confused, right? Because they never do that. Now, am I saying they never heal a lot of people? No. What I'm saying is after they say we got a drug is really successful, they never follow it up with the statement, it's really successful because it's healed a lot of people. No. They show you last quarter sales. They show you how much of the market share it has. They show you what it's done in terms of sales the last 12 months. They show you how much money it has generated. So that should tell you, if you're not delusional, what it is that they're basing the success or the failure of the drug on. They're not basing the success or the failure of the drug on whether, okay, this is a high blood pressure drug. So we came out with this drug and now, we've got a zillion different people that no longer have high blood pressure because we came out with this. That's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. Okay. The only reason they're playing that kind of game with the HIV people is because this system is about mind control. It's about brain control. It's about power, right? It's about zombies, right? So in the same way as they will continue to prescribe opioids, even though they know it's addictive and it turns people into zombies, right? Well, they got other things, right? So if we can get you, infected with a virus, and in order for you to live, you got to take this medication. How long you got to take this medication? Forever. But while you're taking it, the virus will be undetectable in your system. If you stop taking it, the virus can overtake you very quickly and kill you off. Not only that, if you stop taking it, the virus will overtake anybody you're sexually active with. It's like they got you. You got to take that forever now. Like they got you. You on that. You hooked. you a crackhead. That's from the neighborhood. That's our reference. You know what I'm saying? You addicted, you a crackhead. Like, it don't matter. If you're addicted to Pornhub, you a crackhead. Like, you watching, you watching Pornhub 2-3 times a day, we consider that the crackhead. You're a crackhead. You know what I'm saying? We even call people addicted to the gym that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a crackhead for the gym. So there are ways to have good addiction. That's another conversation. We'll talk about good addictions, but this in this pocket, this we're not talking about that now, right? So turning you into an addict for life is great for business, right? I mean, that's a repeat customer on steroids, right? Like, we got you as a repeat customer, like, forget about it, right? Repeat customer forever, right? It's just like a parasite, right? Parasite, when you're studying parasites, right, you measure the intelligence of the parasite by how fast it kills off its host. The most intelligent parasites never kill the host, because the parasite needs the host. A lot of people don't understand, but the parasites a lot of times die when you die, right? So that's how you know that's a dumb parasite. It's a dumb parasite, right? Intelligent parasites know how to get in where they fit in, pun intended, and stay there. They right in there, right? When you eat, they're going to eat just a little bit and they're going to get out the way. They don't want to do no harm to you. They just want to, Now, there's going to be problems because you got other organs. It's going to be problems, but they're going to try to keep those problems as minimum as possible so you can live with these parasites for as long as possible. That's a smart parasite, right? So the drugs have been incredibly successful because it throws off your entire hormone cascade. So what does that mean? That means that not only are you going to need to continue to take this drug, but we're going to get you on 2 or 3 other things. We're going to get you on 2 or 3 other things. If nothing else, when your privates stop working, because you're taking the statins, you ain't got no cholesterol. So that means you ain't got no testosterone. So that means you ain't getting those, you like this. You ain't like how So now we got you over here on the recreate, you on the blue pills and the blue chews and we got you over there on that. Right? As other problems start to develop, right, from the same cascade, we just doubling up, tripling up, quadrupling up the profit. Now, there's a bigger issue, right? There's a bigger issue, right? Silent though. It's quiet. Cholesterol is the flesh. Cholesterol is the flesh of every cell. Every cell, right? We talk a lot about the structured water. That's trendy. The structured water, it makes up the cell. Cool. But coating around that structured water, because the structured water wouldn't be able to do none of the fly, like all of the stuff that we talk about with the life coming out of water and blah, 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 blah. It couldn't do none of that without cholesterol. So if each one of your droplets or little jello blobs, if each one of those little jello blobs of structured water was not coated in phospholipids, right? And the phospholipids basically suspended in cholesterol, right? Your cell would not be itself, right? Your cell would not be able to be itself. It's like, I can't even say Captain America with no shield. Yeah, I don't know. My analogies ain't there yet. We just 2 days back. I got to get a little
I gotta get my life together. We just 2 days back. I'm still dealing with my grief. And I'm trying not to say cuss words, and because I'm really taking my Christian thing a little bit more serious now. So I'm trying not to be on video saying too much cuss words. So by the time 2025 roll in, I could be a little bit more swaggy with my, my conversation. Right. But I want to drive this point home. The structured water ain't worth it's drinking water without the cholesterol to coat it. And because you got to turn over as an adult, I want to say, I think it's somewhere around 50 billion cells a day, right? 50 billion turnover. That means your body breaks down and replaces 50 billion cells a day, right? 50 billion. If you don't have the cholesterol, how does it do that? Every one of those cells, 50 billion of them, need the cholesterol. So forget about the hormones. We went through we kind of discussed that you don't have the testosterone, the estrogen, and all this and all that. We went through the hormones. This is totally separate from that. How does your body make 50 billion cells without their protective coating? Right? So your body's going to do one of two things. It's going to either shut down production. It doesn't have the material. So it's going to shut down production, or it's going to go ahead, but it's going to try to parse out the cholesterol, and you're going to have malformed, you're just going to have a bunch of no good cells, right? And so if your body starts making imperfect cells, you know what that's putting you on track for, right? Yeah. That's putting you on track for cancer, right? So you can't win for losing, right? So am I saying stop taking your statin drug if you're taking statin drugs? No, because you might get dead, right? You might get dead, right? So let me just say that before anybody gets the wrong idea. If you have a prescription for statin drugs, Lipitor, or any other one, you need to keep taking them until you figure out, until you get some other stuff going on, right? So then you can wean off, you can come off of them, eventually. But understanding this is very important. Every single cell in your body makes and requires cholesterol. Makes and requires.
Myron! Myron!
What?
What are you doing? What you doing?
What you talking about? What am I doing?
You reading them nasty books again, right, Myron?
Everybody read no nasty books, man. You scared the hell out of me. What you talking about, man? Wait, I ain't did that in about 2 weeks.
You called yesterday, 2 weeks. What you reading? What you reading?
You scared the goddamn book, man. Dr. Inky. I went on Amazon and got 3 Dr. Inky books because I'm reading about melatonin and biochemistry.
What is, Myron, that's not even first of all, it's not melatonin and whatever it is that you just said. It's melanin and biochemistry. You can't even pronounce the word, so how you reading? How you reading, Myron?
I'm not looking at the pictures. I got the books right here. I'm looking at the pictures. This ain't nothing nasty about this. So what are you talking about? I got all the books right here. What are you talking about?
Myron, you don't even know how to read. Every time we get mail, you bring it to me. You think I don't know that?
I got hooked on Phoenix. Now, what you talking about? I was hooked on Phoenix, so I know how to read.
As of when? Because first of all, hooked on phonics, I believe it's for kids. There's no such thing as hooked on Phoenix. And if I recall, you're the same person that thought reindeer was pronounced reinder, and you're the same person that thought pigeon was pronounced piggion. So it makes sense that you went to hooked on Phoenix.
Man, shut your dumb ass
No,
up, man.
you-
You always trying to say somebody can't read. I know exactly what I'm talking about, man. I'm reading the book. I got the book. I got the goddamn receipt right here. I got the goddamn receipt right here for the books. What you talking about?
Well, you need to return them for somebody who know how to read them. And I still don't. It's probably off.
That's the algorithm.
Okay, so I had to get the babies coming home from school, but we still working though. We not stopping. We still on the grind. Okay. So this is the whole trick here. I just want to make sure that we put the disclaimer out. We don't want folks to jump off their medication like some of these other, platforms. We say, oh, so you don't have to take it. People will drop dead, right? People will drop dead, right? So this is why we promote. This is why we have the first law of metabolism, right? The first law of metabolism, very important here. What is the first law of metabolism? The first law of metabolism is cholesterol is not the problem. Right? Cholesterol is not the problem. Cholesterol is a problem. And here's where the confusion comes in, right? So here's where, here's the crux of the conversation. When the new studies came out and showed that the statin drugs was not extending people's life, right? People are now getting into this whole conversation saying that cholesterol is not an issue. You could be healthy with 500 cholesterol, 800 cholesterol, all kind of crazy numbers, right? And while that may be true for individuals, that is not true for the population, and it's definitely not true for Black people. I'll repeat that. That whole entire narrative is dangerous and it's crazy. It's just like chakra, UFO, blah, blah, flat earth. Like but it's even more dangerous and more crazy. Like the internet is becoming a very dangerous place, right? The internet's becoming a dangerous place. And I like the freedom of speech. I'm not looking for more censorship, but with freedom of speech, there's responsibility on the listener to be able to discern what it is that you're listening to. You need to understand what's going on out here, right? We're trying to help you. We want you to walk around in the supermarket like we're trying to get you the best tools that you can, because we need to get you to understand this, right? Now,
Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Good.
Once the children get in, they unloose the dog. I go from a nice, peaceful, quiet household to it gets crazy in here. All right. So, there's a race component, right? Or a pigment component or a haplotype component to cholesterol, right? If you're dark, the darker you are, we'll just put it like that on a sliding scale. The darker you are, right, the more your body typically wants to produce cholesterol. Right? The more your body wants to produce cholesterol, because typically you should be living in the equator where you're getting constant UVB. Right? So if you're living in the equator, which is typically where you melanin dominant people come from, right? You're getting constant UVB. The constant UVB needs to be hitting cholesterol, right, constantly, and turning over that into vitamin D, right? So you have a higher output, right? The darker you are, because also we know the darker you are, you have your natural sunscreen, right? If you don't have that, right, typically your folks from the polar region, less sun, less UVB, less cholesterol is required, right? Because a fair-skinned person can make as much cholesterol as it would take me maybe 3 or 4 hours to make. They can make that in 15 minutes, right? So there's a difference there. Now, if I'm not outside and I'm not exercising and I have low quality lights in my house, my cholesterol turnover is going to be very low. So it's not about the cholesterol. It's not even about the dietary cholesterol as much as it is about your turnover. How much light are you getting to turn that cholesterol into vitamin D? How much exercise are you getting to turn that cholesterol into hormones? And, how much, water are you drinking and other things that complement your body turning over the cells? Because that's the 3 main areas that your body's going to use the cholesterol, right? Vitamin D, right? Or photosynthetic products, right? Then you have cellular turnover, right? So that your body can make membranes for cells. And then you have all your hormones, right? Those 3 things. If your cholesterol is building up, then that means 1 or more of those 3 things is suffering, and those is going to turn into disease symptoms. You're going to have a problem coming shortly, right? So this is why you can use, for the fellas, you can use not having the morning wood, or even worse, when it's go time, not being able to get a salute. You know that heart disease is on the way. That's an early warning sign. That's not a sign for you to go get blue pills. That's a sign that you got heart disease. And if you go get the blue pills so you can still, do what you do, you basically ignore the best and most early efficient warning sign you got for heart attack, right? So you don't have that salute, your program ain't working, and you go get some blue pills or some Black Ninja or whatever that is from the gas station you're buying, cool. The heart disease is going to continue to, right? The problem is not the cholesterol. The problem is not the statin drug in this scenario. The problem is we're not turning the cholesterol into the other products, right? Cholesterol is a substrate. You have to turn that into other products. Turn that into membrane, new cells, hormones, vitamins, right? People saying that your cholesterol could be as high as you don't have to worry about cholesterol. those people are just as dangerous as the people telling you, as long as you take this drug, you good. Don't worry about nothing. Continue to eat the saturated fat. Continue to, on your day off, catch up on football. Not catch up on playing football, but catch up on the games. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry about it. Netflix, college playoffs, NBA, what they got, Emirates Cup is coming. Like, continue to catch up. A lot of people will say that their 9-to-5 grind, right, stops them from getting enough daily movement in. Remember, that's our thing, perpetual movement. Perpetual movement. Right? Perpetual movement. People are not having the perpetual movement because they're like, Doc, 9 to 5, and I got my babies, my lady, or ladies, I'm trying to take care of the house. I got my job. I got my family, me and my husband still trying to find a little kinky time here and there, get a little piece of action in. You got Saturday and Sunday off. And some people have jobs now where they're getting 2 to 3 days off sometimes. They're getting an extra day a week off and all these. As tempting as it may seem, remember, that's how the devil gonna get you. Temptation, right? The first thing you need to catch up on those off days is your exercise, right? Is your exercise. Now, does that mean you go to the gym and try to be in the gym for 3 hours or even work out for 3 hours? No. But you can do other things. Mix that up, right? Get you a nice hour to 2 hour walk in. Got the day off, right? Get you a 2 hour walk in. In fact, that's a good meditation time, a good prayer time, a good study time, right? So while you're getting your walk in for 2 hours, you can be studying something, right? You can be praying, you can be meditating, you can be catching up on phone calls with the family. You can utilize that time in a layered fashion, right? So hit the gym for a couple hours and get a couple hours walking in, right? So that way it doesn't seem like the time evaporated because you didn't get anything done. You still got to make sure you caught up on, whoever you didn't speak to throughout the week or, whatever you got to do. Got your study in. Manage. Multitask, right? You can multitask in that capacity. I know some people say multitasking is not multitasking because you're focusing on one thing at a time. No. You can walk and chew gum. In fact, most people, they can walk longer, jog longer, run longer, ride a bike longer if they have on headphones, right? So don't have on gobbledygook in the headphones. Have on something that, have on a lecture, or have on some classical music where you can, get your mind into, make the most of that time, right? We got to get that turnover in, right? We got to get that turnover in. Now,
All four of these guys, can be used as bullets through the heart. None of these are the gun. None of these are the gun, right? None of these are the gun. None of these are the gun, right? So over the years, we've juggled these around for heart disease. And whether we spent 10 years, and I'm saying as a society, saying sugar is the trigger for the heart disease, or just throw this guy up in there too. Let's get this guy in there too. Right? Focused on sugar. It's another one. So we got our whole 6-shooter together. We got our whole revolver down pack. Right? We got the whole revolver now. We got a 6-shooter loaded. We got a 6-shooter locked and loaded. There we go. Let me fix this mic. Okay. So we got our whole 6-shooter locked and loaded right here. Right? Over the last few decades, the news, the journals has focused our attention on one or more of these things at a time as the main mechanism, cause, and if controlled, cure for heart disease. And what has happened? Heart disease is going steady. Heart disease going steady. Whether we focusing on fat, whether we focusing on salt, right? You just got nasty food. Yeah, you just got bland food. That's you ain't do nothing but get bland food. And chances are, if you scared and crazy and you don't put no salt in your food, watch this. You got iodine issues because most people is dependent on salt for their iodine. So if you don't get the salt in and you're not really eating other stuff to get your iodine, like you haven't been to the website, AmericanHealer.website, and got your blue magic, right? You're not getting your blue magic and hint, hint, wink, wink, right? You're dependent on salt for iodine. Your iodine is going to be responsible for keeping this down, right? And not only responsible for keeping the fat levels down, but also fat has a twin sister, right? Estrogen. So the iodine is responsible for metabolizing the fat and the estrogen. So once you cut the salt out, immediately the iodine levels are going to go down. Your fat and your estrogen is going to go out of control, right? So that's probably a non-starter or a band-aid at best for a problem, right? Insulin, IGF-1, the sugar glycation, cholesterol. In fact, let me change up my little mnemonic for cholesterol, give you a better one for our scenario here. Give you a better one for our scenario. Right, I got little mnemonics. I got different ways of remembering stuff, right? So when
You do the cholecalciferol, right? Cholecalciferol, vitamin D, right? That's cholesterol, calcium, iron, right? So you don't have that cholesterol, you're going to have calcium and iron issues, right? So over the years, none of this has really worked out in terms of extending life. This is the reason why the lipid doesn't extend life. And to be honest, right? To be honest, it saves lives, but it doesn't extend lives. So this is why I'm saying when people present the information, they may have a motive, right? So to say that the statin doesn't save lives, it does. Because when you all jammed up with all kind of stuff going on, you know, the natural way of healing takes time, right? You'll drop dead most times before you get your life together. So you're gonna need to, you know, you might need you some statin in the, but if long term, right? Long term, you may get rid of one problem and develop 5 other problems, right? You may get rid of one problem and develop 5 other problems, right? So over the years, I have thoroughly, like if we just think of each one of these as a rabbit hole, literally, I done went in one side of the rabbit hole and came all the way out the other, right? So I knew for a fact, once we started with the photochemistry book, right? Once I understood, and we had the conversation, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just giving you my insight on the back end. I knew that we was on to something in terms of cholesterol metabolism being a real issue, right? I knew we was on to something, but I didn't have the trigger, right? All of these things. Now, I want to make sure we clear. All of these things contributes to heart disease. All of them. All of them. All of these things. But none of them is like the shooter. None of these is the shooter, right? I don't know if y'all following that YSL case, right? But they down to 2 people they got on trial. Young Thug and Woody and everybody else is already home. They got 2 people on trial and they trying to get them on this murder case and they don't have no eyewitnesses. Yo, this is the craziest case of all time. Listen, they don't have no eyewitnesses. They have a videotape of what they think is the murder, right? But in the videotape, there is no gunshots. So they don't actually, although they do have video, they don't have video because they don't know where any bullets are coming from. They can't find no bullets. There's no muzzle flashes. There's no shell casing. There's no gunpowder residue on anybody, on any of the cars. Like, this is the strangest shooting ever, right? No eyewitnesses, no murder weapons, no confessions, no fingerprint. Like, they have no concrete evidence of anything, right? They just know that this guy died and there was a lot of people angry with him because they got a lot of social media posts. They literally, this whole case is social media posts. That's it, right? And that's kind of like this with the heart disease. That's why I'm mentioning that, right? Because we got these guys. Like, we know people's dying from heart attacks. We know heart disease is knocking folks off. We got suspects. We got suspects. We just don't have fingerprints, eyewitness, videotape, murder weapon. Like, we don't have anything concrete. Nothing. Right? So I knew that this was out the way. Right? This was done. Right? DRENQI's law of metabolism #1. Boom. We got this out the way. We got this out the way. And this was low-hanging fruit. I just had to dig in my bag with calcium and iron. Right? And so immediately when you think of calcium and iron, most people, calcium, you think about bones, teeth. Right? If you know a little bit more, you think about, the tissues and the cells and all this and all that. A lot of people think of skeletal muscle because, calcium is the contracting and then magnesium is the relaxing, right? People think of iron, blood, rightfully so, right? But these are probably, I ain't gonna say the two most important vitamins, or rather minerals, metals, right? When it comes to the heart, but I'll say they're a part of the most important couplings, right? Couplings, right? Because iron is going to need to be coupled, right, with copper. Calcium needs to be coupled with magnesium, right? Now, I do have a dangerous link with this guy. Calcium. Calcium wind up being like, how they give you the RICO charge? And then it's a whole bunch of people, but this one person that's like the gang leader, like calcium went up on the denomination for that. I was looking at calcium like, okay, this might be the gang leader right here. This might be the, and it hasn't been taken off the tape. It's still, So anyway, so that was that, right? But let me turn around so I can see it like y'all see it. So I'm spending nights sleepless trying to put this all together, right? Trying to put this all together. And if you pay close attention enough to this, you'll be able to see autism come right off of this page right here. Right? You'll be able to see autism come right off of this. You'll be able to see fibroids come right off of this. So the fibroids book, the autism book, bam, pull them right off of here. Right? Fibroids and autism, what do they have in common? Estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance. What does estrogen dominance? All folks with estrogen dominance, iodine deficiency, right? Children born with low levels of intelligence or any sort of learning deficiencies, all of them have iodine deficiency, right? So bam, we linking, boom, boom, stuff is coming together for other conversations, for other research, but not necessarily for the, we need that smoking gun. We need that smoking gun. We got to figure this heart disease thing out. So I'm looking at different combinations. I'm looking at tissue groups and all kinds of other stuff, right? And I got to go, okay. Y'all know what my cheat codes are. Y'all know what my cheat codes have always been, because I always tell y'all, when all else fails, where do I get my information from? I only use the scientific journals to make sure I'm correct after I done came up with my whatever I done came up with, right? But y'all know where the majority of my research is going to be done, right? I'm gonna go over here, right? That's where I'm getting ready to go. I'm gonna go right here to the blueprint of global health, which is the PAPRI that we got from Egypt. Let me see what they're talking about. Let me see what they're talking about. Now, mind you, we wrote a book on that. Right? Where is that book? We actually got 2 books on that. We have this book and this book. Right? The ID book. Right? The ID book is crazy. The ID book is crazy. So mind you, like the title says, we had already went as far as you could go with respiration. Respiration, glycation, all of those things. We went all the way down the rabbit hole. Hypoxia, hypercapnia, like we explored everything. We still didn't have the smoking gun, pun intended. We still didn't have the smoking gun, right? If you have the ID book, you know in the ID book, right? In the ID book, we do like a comparative analysis, right? So we got a bunch of different Bible texts. We have all of the current science on heart disease. And then we also have the passages from the Ebers Papyrus, right? And so we're kind of comparing the current science. That's this book right here, right? We're comparing the current science to what passages we find in the Bible and then what we find in the Ebers Papyrus, right? Specifically related to the heart, right? And so when I go back in this book, I start to find some anomalies, right? I start to find some anomalies, especially when I go to the Ebers Papyrus, right? You know, we go through the usual passages. You know, we in Corinthians. You know, we in John, and you know. But when we get to these rubrics, right? We go to these rubrics, and to be honest, people don't like to mess with the papyri nowadays because they're really like riddles or parables, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And people don't really have the time to wrestle with the stuff to figure out. So anyway. I wind up. Now think about what I just was talking about. We're looking over here, right? And I'm like, okay. We're looking over here, we're finding autism and this and that. So remember the conversation, right? The conversation, we're talking about the spine, right? Connecting, right? We're talking about the spine being, a radio antenna and how that works through the entorhinal cortex and the hippocampus, and into the locus ceruleus and how it regulates brain waves and so I jump down that rabbit hole, right? I go down that rabbit hole, and bro. When I go down that rabbit hole, right? When I go down that rabbit hole, I find the trigger. I find the trigger right there in the Bible. Sitting right there. Now, mind you, I took the super long way around because once I found the trigger, immediately I go to the scientific journals to verify what I'm looking at, and it's sitting right there. When I go to the scientific journals, it's sitting right there. So let me show you what I find. Let me show you what I find. So this is going to open up so many other conversations. That's why the book is so crazy. Right? And I had to do my thing to it. You know my thing. I had to do my thing to it. You know how I do my thing. Right? We get to the etymology of the word. Like we go to the definition sometime, but then sometime we use the etymology. And I like more going into the etymology, like the root definition of the word. Right? But we go here. I find out that this is it right here. The amygdala. The amygdala is the trigger. The brain is the gun. The amygdala is the trigger. Guess what? The barrel of the gun. Yo, you never gonna believe this. The good old Y scepter. Bruh. The Y scepter. The aorta. I'm talking about, look what I'm saying. Let me show you what I'm saying. Let me show you what I'm saying. I'm gonna find it for you to see it. I want you to see this. This here, I need you to see. It's so much more inside this book. Like, I can't even. This is the book that I was writing when I found out my brother died. You know what I'm saying? So it's so much more in this book about alcoholism and opioids and heart disease and blah, blah, blah. But I want you to see this thing here. Because this thing here is crazy. And we're going to be discussing this for a minute. This is crazy. Oh my God, I'm going through this book now. I put way too much stuff inside this book. I got all kind of personal stuff in here. Family pictures. I don't know what I was doing. I was going through something. Y'all gotta forgive me. Y'all gotta support the doc. I was in trouble. Okay, here we go. Let me show you this. Look at this. Will you look at this? Will you look at this? Look at this. Do you see that? Do you see that? Let me explain what you're looking at, in case you don't know what you're looking at. Yo! In case you don't know what you're looking at, this is now. Hold on, let me take this down for a second. Let me explain something to you. Right? And this is why overall, so it's not just my brother passing. It's everything came together that said, yo, you're not reciprocating to God. Even though God got a lot more he could give you. Just saying. But you haven't showed the proper appreciation for what he already done gave you. And part of that is because you don't know what you've been blessed with, right? We've been working on this and this all this time. All this time. We've been working on bone marrow and the aorta. I'm talking about, can y'all see all the knives and the arrows in my back? You know how much knives and arrows I got in my back? People like, yo, you crazy. You don't even know what you're talking about. This bone marrow, that ain't even. We've been pushing forward. Come to find out, this is it right here. This is heart disease. This is how heart disease works. This is it. This is the crew. The amygdala, the aorta, and the bone marrow. Why are these children fighting right now?
My name is Minister DRENQI. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own.
So clearly nobody has homework or anything that they're supposed to be doing. And you just went back there and start making a lot of noise. I told y'all, when this why normally I try to do the live stream early because between 3 and 4, it'd be wrangling going on. We have to get everybody situated. Like y'all, you over there, you. Yeah. But anyway. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? Now, what you may not know is that this guy right here, the amygdala, is a central part of that whole axis when I'm saying, you know, the brain, the spine, and the FM radio waves and the blah, 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 blah. But the aorta and the bone marrow, oh my goodness. I don't know how many books that we focus on the bone marrow. At least 5 or 10 books. Right? And literally, so I had to start going through my books. This is why the bookshelf over here never has books on it. It's because all the books be spread out all over my bed because I be researching in my own books as well. Bam. This book right here, literally, we go through the whole building and the structure, the formation of how the aorta is formed, like from the embryo all the way to adulthood. We walk through the whole process of all of the all of the lifespan of your aorta is in this book, right? And I just couldn't believe it looking at that. So I just want you to know what you're looking at, right? When you're looking at the top row, let me see, we can do it. Okay, right here at the top row, this is the amygdala, right? This is the brain. They're showing you the amygdala activity. Right here in the second row, what they're showing you is the aorta activity. And here on the third row, what they're showing you is the bone marrow activity. On the side closest to me, which would be your left, is a normal, healthy person. On the right, which is the row furthest from me, right? What they're showing you from top to bottom, from the amygdala to the aorta to the bone marrow, is what happens that the shot moment, the gunshot moment, the trigger. What happens when the trigger is pulled? Now, if you have all the books and you've been studying and following, you know that inside this book, we walk through the actual, like from the onset of the heart attack forward, even to the lactic acid residue left over. Like we completely go through every step by step from heart attack in like the moment the heart attack is happening, all the way through the process, what's happening, you know, everything. We deal with troponin levels and like we everything, right? But we did not have the trigger. You know what I'm saying? So just right now, just imagine me, right? Just imagine me in the house. I'm running up. You know how Carmelo, Carmelo, after he hit, like, you know, when he hit that first 3-pointer, he just getting that thing warmed up. You know what I'm saying? But by the time he start getting to the third or fourth 3-pointer, you know, he coming by the crowd, he getting close, he letting the crowd know, you know, he going crazy. Yeah, it's that. It's that. We going crazy. Right? We now have the trigger. Right? Now we officially, that's why I named the book The End of Heart Disease. Because we got it. We already had everything else. We already had everything else. Everything else. We just did not have the trigger. What starts the event? What's going on? What is the actual mechanism? Like what's triggering the event? How is it? What's the whole program? Right? What's the whole program? Now, the program is this. The trigger is here. Anxiety, fear, loneliness, right? Loneliness, right? All of them going right in here, right? That's the trigger. And I know some of y'all watching like, hold up though, Ink, we're not letting you off the hook because you said you got this out of the Bible. We want to see that. Yeah, funny. But you know I don't sell wolf tickets, right? So we gonna get there, right? We're gonna get there. If not today, tomorrow, but we definitely gonna get there. I'm not, you know, we're going there. Right? Matter of fact, we can go there right now. Right? We can go there right now. We're gonna cut to the chase, you know what I'm saying? So you got this going on. Boom, boom, boom. right? This is the fear center, right? Y'all been listening to the chakra people tell you that this is a emotional, this is a chakra. Oh, Jesus. Right? So, you have protection mechanisms built into your body, right? You got protection mechanisms built into your body, right? So remember, I want to say the second book. We keep going back to that second book a lot lately, right? This is the book I'm talking about. We keep going back to this Melanin vs. Diabetes, book 2. A lot lately. I keep bringing it up. So if you don't have it, you probably. But in that book, we talk about a couple other books too, but in that book, we talk about cortisol, right? And cortisol creates these temporary diabetic moments in times of stress, right? In times of fight or flight, right? And when I say, I made that term up just to try to summarize what's going on in your body when the cortisol and the fight or flight and all that kicks in, right? Your body is preparing. Like, go to the lion in the woods. I know people use that a lot, but just go to the lion in the woods example, right? You in the woods, you see a lion, okay? You got two options, fight or flight, right? So in order to prepare you to survive this, right, what cortisol does is, obviously the adrenaline is kicking in, right? But what cortisol does is it mobilizes all of your sugar, right? So when I say temporary diabetic moment, your blood sugar goes up with cortisol because you got to have that strength, right? People think that strength come out of nowhere. When you got that emergency strength, like mother picking up the car off the baby, that's them adrenalines combined with the sugars, right? The adrenalines combined with the sugars is mobilized right now, ready to go. Now, a lot of your brain is going to kind of turn off, right? It's only going to be certain centers in your brain that's going to be functioning right now. Whatever you only need for fight or flight, right? The amygdala becomes a central focus, right? So your amygdala becomes super overstimulated. And the study's been showed now, the same way your heart has lesions and scars and like fibrosis, like they've been talking about, you know, scarification in the heart, liver, certain things. Amygdala has that same damage. The stress, the wear and tear is also here, right? But now the slickness is, or not even the slickness. What happens is, now don't remember, we had a whole bunch of stuff up here. I need that to be in your notebook, or maybe, hopefully y'all already ordered the book, right? Hopefully you ordered the book already. But I need it to be in your mind right now, right? Because here's the difference between two different people, right? So say, for instance, we got one person, right? They both person A and person B, they both walking through the forest. The lion jumps out, right? Person A got high cholesterol levels. A1C is at about a 9 or 10. Right? A1C is at a 9 or a 10. You know, they got fat, you know, they got all them things that we just had up here that we erased. They got going on. Person B, they don't have none of that. They got healthy A1C levels, healthy cholesterol levels, all that. So when fight or flight kicks in, right, obviously the transformation and the preparation for emergency action is going to affect their bodies differently. They might look the same on the outside, but on the inside, their biochemistry is vastly different, right? Now, a part of your heart pumping super fast, right? Your heart pumping super fast, your body has to start getting some stuff into circulation also to slow your heart down. And also, should you wind up out there going gun for gun, knife for knife, or you out there fighting a lion, right? You need to have some coagulants circulating in your blood to be able to slow the heart down or to be able to stop you from bleeding should you get cut or bit, right? So something happened to you, right? You need the coagulants, right? The vitamin K crew, right? Vitamin K forms most of your body's coagulants. So that's why if you got cancer or I don't know, heart disease, well, not really heart disease. Heart disease, they put you on aspirin, right? But if you got cancer or something like that, they'll put you on warfarin. My mnemonic to remember warfarin, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, is warfarin. The way it's spelled. So in my mind, I pronounce it W-A-R, like warfarin. You know what I'm saying? Warfarin. That's how I remember it. You know what I'm saying? Because this drug literally is waging war inside your body. Yeah. So if you're on warfarin, then you kind of want to get off that as quick as possible. That is literally rat poison. Let me show you that for a second. Just for the folks in the back. It might be somebody who hasn't seen that, right? So let's look at that. Yeah, let's look at that real quick. Mm-hmm. Just so you get a little idea of what I'm saying. Right? So this is, people get this for blood clots, blood circulation, blah, blah, blah. In my 20 years, I don't know anybody that's been prescribed this that actually knew this, where the blood clots is coming from, right? This is where the blood clots is coming from. We're going to get there in a second. This is where the blood clots is coming from. It's not necessarily coming from you being fat or this and that and the other. It's not coming from that. It's coming from this, right? So we're going to get there in a second. So this right here is how it's normally, prescribed, whatever, right? But what you got to also know is this used to be, hold on. Look at that. All you got to do is type in the word rat and then the whole search get different. So if you just type in the word and you search it, this will come up, the medication. Right? The medication come up. But should you happen to start typing in a few more letters, should you just start to typing in a few more letters, you'd be like, wait a minute, rodenticide? What is going on? So I'm just saying. I'm just saying, I'm just saying you could do better. Tell me, have you heard that lately? I'm just saying you could do better. Right? So if you have to take that, though, again, like I said, you got to take it, you got to take it. Because if you don't take it, you could die in the short term. But the idea is to never grow comfortable with medication. Never grow comfortable with medication. Like, always be looking to repair your body so you can get back to a state of not needing the medication. Right? Just keep that in mind. Right? Yeah, just keep that in mind. So, mind you, this right here is the whole blueprint to how this goes down. So once the amygdala gets going, fight or flight is going, you got the opioids flowing also. The opioids is being produced in your brain so that you don't feel pain. So you're going into war, you can't be thinking, like, you can't be running and twist your ankle and fall down like you in a scary movie. Your body is pumping out opioids so that don't happen. If you run and you roll or twist your ankle, you should still technically be able to keep running, even with a twisted ankle. You should be. Now, the next day, your ankle should look like a tree trunk. But in that moment, a twisted ankle should not stop you from escaping near-death situation or escaping death, converting a death situation into a near-death situation, right? So the amygdala signals the body to start producing all these coagulants. The coagulant levels go through the roof. Now, remember what I told you, what was that, about an hour and a half ago, right? The glycation, the A1C level, right? Along with the floating cholesterol, right? And remember, we did I was like, yo, Inky, you bugging out, right? Inky, you bugging out. When we drop this book. Look, so y'all don't be understanding. Homeboy done bought this book. Bless his soul. Your favorite fake guy? Your favorite? Let me show you how when the cat's away, the mice will play. Look at this here. Let me show you what this boy did. Oh, bless his soul. Let me show you what this boy did. Watch this. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Y'all is not gonna believe this. Look at this boy. Watch this here. This boy done went crazy with this book. Hold on. Let me show you this. This boy done went crazy with this book here. Hold on. Damn. Right? We ain't even going to look at the actual content. Let me just show y'all this. Let me just show y'all this. Look at this. Will you look at this? Will you look at this? Will you look at this? Crazy. 10 days ago. Right? Yo, I just can't make this stuff up. Right? I just can't make this stuff up. It's ridiculous. Right? But this is how this whole system goes. Right? Remember we talked about the cops, right? The cops. I was like, yo, you bugging the cops. Cholesterol oxidative products, right? Cholesterol oxidative products, right? So you have these cholesterol oxidative products floating around. You got advanced glycation end products floating around in the blood, right? You got all these things floating around in the blood that are sticky proteins and sticky molecules and sticky fats and all this stuff floating around. When you get this trigger, right? When you hit this, when that trigger get pulled, and your bloodstream gets flooded with coagulants. That's the trigger. That's the trigger. Which is the reason they got folks on rat poison. Because the rat poison is strong. The rat poison is strong enough to break that stuff apart. When your blood starts sticking together, that stuff is strong enough to break that stuff apart and keep you alive a little bit longer. Right? It's strong enough to keep you alive a little bit longer. Not for long, though, but to keep you alive a little longer. Right? So, back to the top of the show, we can never say, ever, cholesterol is not a problem if you got high cholesterol levels. Right? Even though by itself, right, you could have technically a cholesterol level of 1,000,000. And if you never have an amygdala event, the cholesterol never stops your heart. Get it? You can have glycation level through the roof. You can have a glycation level of, you can have an A1C of 25, hypothetically. And without a trigger event, you never have the heart attack. Get it? So this is how they're able to say the cholesterol don't matter. Cholesterol ain't going to kill you. We got evidence that cholesterol is not causing the heart attack. That's cool. That's like me saying there's evidence that the bullets is not killing folks. You know what I'm saying? Technically, they're not. It's the gun. And I can go extrapolate that even further and say the gun doesn't kill people either. It's people that kill people, because if there were no guns, people would be killing people with sticks, knives, bats, and rocks. You know what I'm saying? What they was doing before guns was invented. You know what I'm saying? Like upstream. So even I don't have to stop here, right? Because we can talk about what's affecting the amygdala in terms of anxiety, fear, loneliness, depression, stress, all of those things that put the amygdala in the hyperactive space, you know, and now, you know, that's all you need is one stress at your job. What depends on the condition of your body, how big the trigger is, because the emotional impact is equal to the amount of coagulants that's loose flooding that's going to flood your body. Right? So a death in the family. Oh my God. Woo! That's my little brother. I listen. And that's the day after my adopted little brother tell me his liver is failing. So God giving me this information, I'm not even sure he giving me this information for you, you know, you niggas at home. In my mind, God is giving me this information for me because I need it. I'm like this. Yeah, God trying to keep me alive. Like, hold on now, wait, don't let your heart stop again. We ain't gonna bring you back again now. You got to come on now. You got to get yourself together. And you get yourself together. I'm like, how am I gonna do it? I don't know how to do it. All right, this. Oh, that's what y'all want to know. See, y'all not even listening. All this, what I'm saying, y'all ears is closed because y'all still stuck on trying to figure out how I got this from the Bible. Right? That's what this is. Y'all still stuck on that. Okay, let's do that. Let's get rid of the scientific journal, medical, anatomical science. Let's get rid of that. I'll show you. Because y'all know what I be doing. Right? You're not going to find this in the Bible. You're not going to find that in the Bible because that's not in the Bible. Right? Here's what you will find. Right? Let's turn this into Bible class. Right? Let's give some praise to the Lord. Right? Let's go crazy. Let's do what we do. Boop. Hold up. Let me hit the share screen. Let me show you. Because it pops right out. It ain't like it's no hidden. It popped right out. You know what you're looking for, right? So here we go. So, this the site that I like to use, right? So I go here. We just type it in. Amygdala, right? Y'all could do this at home. Like, there's no magic trick to this. Whoop. Look at that. Right? When you type it in, that's what pops up. Now, if you're familiar with the Bible at all, you already know this goes crazy right here. This should unlock it for you in your brain. Right? You go, oh yeah, I forgot the almond. Oh yeah, the almond. That's right, the almond. That's okay. Okay, so the almond, that's what that is right there. All right. Got it. That means almond. That means almond. Right? Now, the crazy thing is the Bible have some passages in there that do not make sense without what I just showed you. Now, here's been my problem with Bible scholars, whether these are like scholastic Bible scholars, Bible enthusiasts, Christians, Catholics, Israelites. And this is the real reason why I never wanted to classify myself with a group of people until, oddly enough, recently, one of my favorite people on earth, right? This is the guy that I look at for inspiration. He got a church. I was like, blood clot. Man, I see this. And it's like non-denominational. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, this perfect spot right here. Perfect spot. I mean, this is what I need right here. Right. But anyway, this got some tricky passages associated with it that just don't make no sense. And usually what happens with folks that, for one reason or another are into the Bible is when they don't understand what they're reading, they get comfortable telling you it's not literal. Oh no, you can't take the. This ain't literal. You gotta. Then they start going into other passages, websites. Yo, we got such a problem with saying I don't know. I don't know what this means. I don't understand what that's a big problem. That's a big problem because I guess if you're a minister or a pastor or you some type of scholar or whatever, you're supposed to know. Like, I guess if you're a Christian, the way the world is structured, and a lot of it has to do with people being soft. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of what allows me to be me is how I was raised. I'm 47. I was born in the 70s. When I was when I was 10 years old, you could not read a book outside. It didn't matter what the book was. You know what I'm saying? If it was a comic book, somebody might try to steal it from you. But if it was a regular book, oh, you was getting violated on the spot. You was getting violated. Book slapped in the air, punched, pockets dug, everything. Like, you could not be reading. That was not okay. You know what I'm saying? But I used to beat people up. You know what I'm saying? I had the welfare glasses, big nose, like dark skin. I had to beat folks up. And I used to like to read books all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I had to, I had to create some space. I had to create a safe space for me to be me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm used to going against the grain in that capacity. And those two unique qualities about me allow me to never fit in, right? I always been with the tough guys, right? But the tough guys could never fully trust me because I'm visibly way smarter than them. And not just like way smarter, but like most times like way smarter than they could ever get. Like, so they just don't trust. You know what I'm saying? You're too smart for your own good. I was one of those guys. Now, amongst the smart guys, the nerds and the geeks and the bookworms, I was too tough for them. So they couldn't be comfortable being themselves because I remind them too much of the guys that's bullying them on a normal basis. So I never fully fit in either space. You see what I'm saying? So I just got comfortable being in my own skin. So if I don't know something, I just say I don't know. Like, this is what I need to keep researching this. I'll just keep trying to study it or, figure it out. Like, what I won't do is like go to some other websites and passages and, oh, wait a minute, I got a degree in this. So if you don't know, you don't know. Right? If you don't know, you don't know. You gotta relax. Right? You don't know. You gotta relax. So bro, folks is not hesitating. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm working on being less angry because I realize I have to appreciate this. I gotta appreciate these brothers. You know what I'm saying? I gotta appreciate being the guy that's being mimicked. I gotta appreciate being the guy being copied. You know what I'm saying? I have to appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because I could be the copier. I could be lower down in the food chain. So I gotta appreciate my space. You know what I'm saying? And rejoice and say, you know what? Bless him, because he's gonna take that information, hopefully, and he's gonna, probably gonna sell some $2,000-$3,000 packages with it. But hopefully, he's gonna help some folks with the information. You know what I'm saying? And that's all that we really need to happen at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to happen at the end of the day. But let's dig into these passages. I'm gonna show you what I mean by folks couldn't understand this on no other way.
Myron! Myron!
What?
What are you doing? What you doing?
What you talking about? What am I doing?
You reading them nasty books again, right, Myron?
Everybody read no nasty books, man. You scared the hell out of me. What you talking about, man? Well, I ain't did that in about 2 weeks.
You called yesterday 2 weeks. What you reading? What you reading?
You scared the goddamn book, man. Dr. Inky. I went on Amazon and got 3 Dr. Inky books because I'm reading about melatonin and biochemistry.
What is, Myron, that's not even first of all, it's not melatonin and whatever it is that you just said. It's melanin and biochemistry. You can't even pronounce the word, so how you reading? How you reading, Myron?
I'm not looking at the pictures. I got the books right here. I'm looking at the pictures. You know, this ain't nothing nasty about this. So what are you talking about? I got all the books right here. What are you talking about?
Myron, you don't even know how to read. Every time we get mail, you bring it to me. You think I don't know that?
I went to I got hooked on Phoenix. Now, what you talking about? I was hooked on Phoenix, so I know how to read.
As of when? As of when? Because first of all, hooked on phonics, I believe it's for kids. There's no such thing as hooked on Phoenix. And if I recall, you're the same person that thought reindeer was pronounced reender, and you're the same person that thought pigeon was pronounced piggion. So it makes sense that you went to hooked on Phoenix.
Man, such a dumbass.
No,
you always trying to say somebody can't read. I know exactly what I'm talking about, man. I'm reading the book. I got the goddamn receipt right here. I got the goddamn receipt right here for the books. What you talking about?
Well, you need to return them for somebody who know how to read them. And I still don't. It's probably all type of stuff in the inside of the books, Myron. That's how sneaky you are. Give me the books. Give me the books, Myron.
No,
give me the books, Myron. Give me the books, Myron.
I'm not giving you. No, I got these books off Amazon. I'm not giving you the books. Ain't that no?
Yeah, well, bye. Bye.
I've been in this game. Yeah, animals to the shit. Animal, baby.
The gods have blessed us. We must act now. We must act now to save us, to save our souls.
All right. I know y'all see it, right? All right, hold on. Let's keep going. Hold up. Trying to find some pages. Trying to find some pages. All right, but here's the first passage anyway. Okay. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and get from them a rod from each father's house. All their leaders according to their father's houses, 12 rods. Write each man's name on his rod, and you shall write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there shall be one rod for the head of each father's house." Bro, right there is a bar. Bari. Right there
It says a rod for each head, right there. Right? Now, we keep going. And it should be that the rod of the man whom I chose will blossom. Thus I will rid myself of complaints of the children of Israel. So the leader spoke up, they gave him a rod apiece. Their father's houses, 12 rods, blah, blah, blah. Now it came to pass on the next day that Moses went into the tabernacle of witness, and behold, the rod of Aaron, the house of Levi. Mind you, according to popular pop culture, I'm supposed to be a Levite, right? But anyway, the house of Levi had sprouted and put forth buds and had produced blossoms and yielded ripe almonds, right? So that right there, like, especially when you go back into the Hebrew and come back, because it don't count, it don't add up. Rods that turn into almonds. These be the type of verses to, respectfully, these be the type of verses that people that want to pick apart the Bible, they use these verses to pick it apart. These are the type of verses they use to pick it apart. They go, look at this. The Bible clearly don't even make no sense. Look at this. They say rods turn into almonds. Ain't no rods turn into almonds. And then somebody would be panicking. They'd be like, no, the rod symbolizes the tree of life, because what's happening is the rod is really a branch. And you'd be like, no, it ain't no damn. What you talking about? That ain't that. You trying. You tried it. You stretched, you grabbed something because your school of thought, and technically we all learning from other people at some point, you know what I'm saying? Even if we're doing firsthand research, right? We're studying somebody else's firsthand research to come to our new findings, or, you know, whatever we're doing. So at some point, you know, and then the more we learn about how the universe works, we know that, you know, information is recycled like genetic material, right? But it just doesn't make sense. So the folks use that to attack. Look at that. Ain't no rod. And if they wanted to say branch, they would have put branch. Ain't no branch. This is a rod, and rods don't bloom flowers and almonds. And so, you know, somebody would say, oh, well, you know what? This is metaphorical. This is metaphorical. Yeah, that's what this is. This is metaphorical. You can't take this literal. See, that's what the problem is. You're trying to take this literal, and if you try to take this literal, it don't make no sense. Why it can't be that you just need to study longer, right? You don't know everything. When people say that, that's the assumption that they know everything. Like they've got all the juice out of this possible book. So they got this arrogant confidence about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, please, people, let me just say this right here. Please stop sending me videos of that guy, God Logic. He is not an intelligent young man. He is crazy. He's crazy. He's very well versed in religious text, but he's like an artist with them. He uses the religious text to paint his own tapestry. It's a lot of freestyling going on, right? But anyway, let me go back to this chapter. Let me go back to this chapter. So we have this, right? One rod for the head of each of the houses, right? So 1 rod for each head. Right? Now, let's go down here. The Lord said to Moses, bring Aaron's rod back before the testimony to be kept as a sign against the rebels. Right? That you may put their complaints away from me, lest they die. Now, this right here sounds like God is like a barbarian a little. Like, what is happening right here? Put their complaints away from me, lest they die. Thus did Moses, just as the Lord had commanded him. So he did. So the children of Israel spoke to Moses, saying, surely we die, we perish, we all perish. Whoever even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord must die. Shall we all utterly die? That's what we're doing right now. That is what we're doing right now. Right? Now, mind you, it helps that I had just come off of the autism book. And in the autism book, what was we doing? We was walking through the process of creation, right? We was walking through embryonic development, right? We was walking through embryonic development, right? And when you walk through the embryonic development, as we did, you know that a brain develops from what? How does your brain develop? From a rod. Your brain develops from a rod. Before your brain is fully finished developing, this almond is going to guide most of your decisions. Now we know when this almond, from the fear and the anxiety and the stress, gets overactivated, this is killing people, this almond. Just like it says right here in the text. So now, when I read this, right? And in my mind, I always think I'm half crazy. So when I read this, and in my mind, I immediately go, oh, wait a minute. This is the embryonic brain stem, this rod, right? Because it says 1 per head of each of the house of Israel, right? The father's houses is talking about regeneration. I'm like, oh, I know this. Okay, eat 1 rod per head. I'm like, yeah, the brainstem, right? Low hanging fruit, pun intended. I'm like, yo, this is low hanging fruit, pun intended. That's what it's talking about. The almond sitting right there at the top of the rod, right? So when I read this chapter, I go, okay, you probably tripping. You're doing the most. Yeah. So if there's any validity to this, stress, negative, energy and that, or if there's any energy to this, then I should be able to find some literature outside the Bible. I'm not one of those folks. I should be able to find some hardcore science outside the Bible that corroborates what I think I'm seeing here. Right? And when we do that, once we do that, that's when we find this guy. Where you go? Don't you disappear? Where you went? Damn, what happened to the... Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. That's when I go to the journal, and then when I go to the journals, I find this. Literally, the rod is sitting right there. The rod is right there. The rod is right there. The almond is up there, right? I said, yo, this is crazy. Like it don't get no clearer than this. It don't get no clearer than this. It can't get any clearer than this. This doesn't apply to the zodiac. This doesn't apply to the zodiac. This should be the discovery of the century. And I know I probably do this so often that y'all are probably getting too used to this. But this should be the discovery of the century. Not only should the actual mechanism that causes heart attack be the discovery of the century, since it's the #1 killer and has been the #1 killer the last 50 to 100 years, right? Since 1865, I believe. No, I say since the 1950s, 1960s, I'm sure I think. That's crazy, right? I'm almost certain. We'll do that. I'm almost certain that for the last 60 years, 70 years, heart disease been the #1 killer, right? So with that being said, finding the trigger that causes it, that's it. Because now that we know what the trigger is, it's over. Of course, I got the program in the book that just knock all that off. The coagulant, the this, the that, the blah, 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 like a week. That 99% of the job is finding the trigger. Once you find the trigger, oh, it's easy to put the play together now. Now we know what it is. Okay, yeah, we can stop that. Right? I mean, you still have to worry about A1C numbers. Those A1C got to come down. With the cholesterol still got to come down, right? All of those, the fats still got to come down, right? But now we know what the trigger is, right? Now we know what the trigger is. So that's what I'm saying. We now hold on. Let me show you. Let me show you.